And so to date, we've given, quite a large sum, to that. And every year we're trying to give and max that out more. But
what is it? What is Impact Others? What does it do?
Impact Others it's a nonprofit organization that we do 4 things. First of all, we feed malnourished children around the world, feed and educate. So we set up feeding centers to feed them, and we have educational centers to educate them. So kids that just would never get educated in the jungles of Africa and India, in the Middle East, we do a lot in the Middle East. We've got about 26 of those feeding centers and that also educate these kids. Then we have orphanages. And so number 2, we have orphanages. There's some kids that are just, they don't have parents. And so we've built quite a few orphanages. So between the orphanages and the feeding centers, we feed and educate about 4,000 kids a day right now. Number 3, clean water projects. The more you travel the world, the more you realize these are massive, massive issues. And so we dig a lot of wells. We're digging 7 wells right now in Ghana, West Africa, 2 down in Trichy, India, some up in the Lahore area of Pakistan. We're doing a lot of clean water projects. And then the 4th one is building sustainable businesses. So in an area that we have a feeding center and orphanage, as opposed to going down the model of microfunding and saying, hey, we'll give you, $1,500 or $3,000 to start your woodworking company. We actually will seed that woodworking company with the expectation that they give a percentage to help the organization that's already there on the ground. So we've started now water buffalo farms in India, woodworking plants in Laos, coffee companies down in Ecuador, a taxi cab company in Ghana, West Africa. And we're starting these sustainable businesses with the intent of them continuing to give back and service that local community. So, and by the way, they all run on Empire, just if you're wondering.
Well, why these? I mean, that's all around the world, but Why did you choose these?
Because it was the things that I was already doing a lot with the orphanages and the feeding centers. And
now, so how did you come across these orphanages? Were you are Mormon and did some kind of
traveling abroad? I was traveling abroad. A buddy of mine that had he was doing some orphanage stuff down in Honduras. I was on a trip to go diving. I went to college with him. He invited me to come over and see the orphanage, and saw that he couldn't feed all the kids that were there. Like, he had to choose kids that he had a feeding center.
Some days some kids eat, some days they don't. Huh?
Exactly. And I said, well, let's fix it, and he was like, well, Eddie, you can't just fix it today. Like, you're either committed and we're going to fix this for life, and we're going to promise these kids you're going to feed them for the next 8 years, or I'm not doing this. Like, he was like, I can't, it's too hard to choose some and not others. And so I actually got involved with him. That was the first step. And then it was like, oh, that was really cool, super gratifying, and then just as we began to travel, then you start seeing it. Then your eyes are open to these issues. Then it just kept going on and on. And it's like, but the problem is right now is that no matter how much money you have, you cannot solve all those issues. The issues just, if you open a feeding center and you think, okay, I'm going to, put 150 kids, I'm going to feed 150 kids, 200 show up every time, like it's never, ever enough.
Yeah.
And so that's when I realized it was, and then clean water was an issue always with these really, difficult areas. Like clean water, we'd always find we'd get food there, and then they would say, okay, now we actually have to boil this water, and they bring in this water in order to cook, and the water's disgusting. And you're like, how do it's boiling water just to actually cook with later, and just a mess, and so, or they're pulling stuff out of dirty rivers. And so we started trying to solve that, and that just exponentially grew. And then we realized, like, no matter how much we create here, we're never going to solve all the problems that we see every day. So we better help them start creating. And so that's when we went into building the sustainable businesses, is that we felt like if we could just create an army of people that, it's the whole teach them to fish model. It's like, we could just create an army that come together with us, then, maybe we could start making a bigger dent.
Yeah. Have you always done charitable work?
No, I really didn't. I found a really dark time in my life when I hit in my mid-20s. I had enough money. I really didn't need to work anymore. I had accomplished everything I felt like I needed to accomplish, and started having those thoughts of like, what's life worth living, and what's this all about, and what's the point of all this? And that's when I found service, and service was an element that began to gratify and really began to reach into that part of me that was empty, and that was what began all that.
How is that charitable time you spend changed who you are as a CEO now?
Yeah, it changes everything, because it is the source. And in our, we're sitting here in the office here, Collective Influence. Every one of our people, as a part of as a prerequisite to coming in, has to have a heart of service, because we will give a large portion of our profits to these methodologies, like to these projects we have. And if it irritates them, if they're just in it for the money, like they're not going to do well in our organization. And we've had some that they just don't see that. It's not who they are, which is fine. But now we attract these like-minded people. When we hire someone, especially a high-level executive, we say, now, by the way, the company that you run, Andrew and I intend to give a majority of our distributions and profits away to help orphanages and feeding centers. And, and we're going to publish that. We're going to tell the world that's what we do. Like, that's what this company is there for. It changes who really qualifies for those positions. So it's changed us, but it's changed our employees and mindset and culture as well.
So what kinds of businesses or size of business do you look for now where you can find or attract top level talent and give away, what is it, 10%, 15, 20% of
40 to 50% of the
40%, 50% of excess cash flow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the goal. Some are, in that place, and some are giving more and some are giving less. But that is the goal.
I hope this video has inspired you. If you need help buying your first $1 million business, make sure to visit me at dealflowsystem.net. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe down below. Comment on it, share it, tell everyone about it. And thanks for watching.